Thank you all for attending episode 2 of the Charles King Book Club. How's everyone doing today? Look like we've got some staggerers coming in, so we're going to. How you doing, sir?
I'm doing pretty good. How you doing, Charles?
I'm doing just excellent. Like we're going to give them a few seconds before we bring in, before everybody arrives. How's the rest of your week been so far?
My week's been really good. I've been working out. I've been singing and recorded a new song, and I'm about to record another new song. So, yeah, I'm doing really good. Music is on the way.
That's what's up. I'm very happy to hear that.
I was cutting up last time, Charles. I was cutting up, and I'm like, cut up again tonight.
Well, I'm
So,
gonna tell you, we had some viewers that were viewing, and as they viewed, I just want you to know that it's brought us, some extra folk that were supposedly going to, join the club. So we'll see, but I want you to know that it's all good.
oh,
It's all
amen. I'm gonna try to hold back tonight because you was like when you uploaded it to YouTube, I was like, oh, now you're gonna see me cut up for real. So
Well, I just want to say also to those that are joining us on YouTube, I want to thank you all as well for being here. And as you're here, I want you to know that we want you to be a part of this club if you want to join. So about the new music that you're talking about,
yes.
um, how exactly is that going? And what are the songs that you have actually? What songs are you working on?
So I recorded this new song called One and Only. It drops on the 31st of this month. I'm super excited about it. It's
Okay.
it's great for the Valentine's season, so it's nice and simple. It's easy to remember,
Okay.
and it's a good time. Yeah. So One and Only is coming out. I actually haven't made like any announcements about it, so this is my first official announcement about my song. So
Okay.
it's
Well,
lit.
I want to also we've got a new member to the club. It looks like the connection just got bad, but it's Mr. Neil Brown,
What's
and
up?
Neil is going to be joining the club as well. And I'm very happy that he's here. So I give him a chance to introduce himself once we can get him back on.
Is he in the freezer? Is he frozen?
You know what? I'm waiting on the time where I actually have to use that. Well, I will never forget that. Michael, get out that freezer. You're frozen.
I haven't heard from him since. He probably can't stand me. He probably heard what I was saying. He like, this man just talking all of this smack. And,
Well,
and well,
actually, I talked to Michael. That following, I think maybe 2 or 3 days after that show,
yeah,
and he enjoyed himself. But I also let him see the views that the show got, and that I wanted to make sure that he continues what he's doing because he's another one that I like to have back on the show.
absolutely. Shout out to you, Charles. Again, I'm really proud of you and your journey. We talked last week about how your production had went up in value since after you and I had our first interview. So I'm glad the budget went up because I need to redo an interview with you because we both was giving great value, but you didn't up. You gonna upgrade to name brand and just not gonna tell a brother. It'd be your own. It'd be your own. Y'all follow me on Instagram. Subscribe to my YouTube channel. Charles had me messed up. Nice to meet everybody. My name's Oh man Golden. It's a pleasure to meet everybody.
Okay, hello Neil. Welcome to the show.
Hey, good afternoon, everybody.
What's up,
Yes.
Neil?
Hey, what's going on?
Hey,
I
Neil
finally
is Neil is one of the new people here that's joined the group. If you can introduce yourself, that'll be fine. But also, Dr. Tyrus Ford has also just joined the show as well.
What's up, Doctor? With the good light.
right. Good afternoon. I mean, good evening.
Good evening. Good evening.
As Dr. King has stated, I am Neil Brown. I am here. Met Mr. King. Not like I was telling, right. It was a divine intervention. And just everything that he's about and everything he stands for. His whole movement is just everything that I've been behind. I've just been just blessed enough to kind of link with some like-minded individuals, that he's kind of put me around, and I'm just glad to continue to build with you all, and looking forward to what this channel will possess.
Oh, nice to meet you. You got a nice last name too, Brown. I know that's right. Let them know. Was it hard getting a job with that last name?
Absolutely.
Uh,
Well, it depends. It depends. It depends on what industry you go in, what's your market. But yeah, it's been successful for me thus far.
Well, Dr. Ford, thank you for coming back again this week. How's everything been with you this week so far?
Everything has been great. Thank you for allowing me to be a part. I am the wonderful and fabulous Dr. Ford, elite nurse practitioner here in the DMV area. I like to say that I'm healing souls all around the DMV area and transforming lives. So I do that through soul wellness, where I practice really holistic approaches to health, so mind, body, and spirit, giving people the empowerment to really start stepping into their authentic selves, walking their destiny, but helping them on their health journey along the way. So that's what I do. And I'm super excited to be a part of this experience in this book club. The book is so good. I finished it today and I'm super excited to talk about it. So thank you.
Yes, sir. Also, Dr. Ford, just in remembrance, after we finish with the book club tonight, the event that you're having. If you would
I
please,
forgot about that. Oh, y'all, I didn't really forget, but
I want you to make sure that you email me that, because what I'm going to do is I'm going to post that also on the YouTube channel itself, as well as give you some shout outs, on some other parts of media, so
I,
people can know about the event.
Absolutely, I appreciate that. So on Tuesday at 6 p.m., I'm hosting a healing circle. Super excited about it. Just bringing people together. We're going to do it for 6 weeks, where we take people through lessons, and I'll be facilitating this, but just providing a space for anyone to come. It's totally free to come to a space to go through some healing works, exercises, and then just kind of teach about healing yourself, how to go about doing that. 2024 is all about healing yourself and empowering your soul. So that's exactly what the Healing Circle is for. So it's going to be online. It's virtual. It'll be recorded. So yes, I will definitely send you that. Thank you so much for reminding me. It's been so much on my mind. I've been working on it a lot here lately, and I'm super excited to just share it with the world.
It's lit.
What's up? So we have so now that we have the esteemed members, some of them here that's on right now. Um, so I have to go to Amen first. Amen. Tell us what is your feeling about the book, and what did you like or dislike about
Oh,
Giovanni's Room?
you know, I realized I don't like the book. And not that it's a bad, not that it's a bad book. Not that I am so over reading about a man being conflicted. I am so past confliction in my life that reading about confliction makes me feel like I'm in the twilight zone, stuck. And I was over it. I was over it. And then David became some type of whore, just sleeping with this person, that. It is. I just the confliction is what I had an issue with. So I'm really grateful to be able to respect the history. So I mean, that's what I like about it. The fact that it was written in 1956, the history of that time, so I understand. It's just the confliction in being a man is just I'm past that. But it's a good book.
Neil, did you get a chance to read the book?
Yes, I did. And I guess very high level, you know, um, I guess high level synopsis on my whole take on the book would be, I'm glad that you allowed me to read this book. Certainly, the first time I've ever actually read any of James Baldwin's works. So thank you for introducing me to that. However, I like how he was able to kind of touch on so many different things without saying it. It was kind of like indirect statements, whereas any person can kind of put themselves in his shoes, and they don't necessarily have to be quote unquote gay or have to come out to the world per se. As you know, the world may see him as one thing, but he may indeed truly be something totally different. And the fact that he had to live in a world where he couldn't completely 100% be his true authentic self was like very, very, very touching.
So is it that you liked the part of the book where being DL was just a thing that was done, but for that period, does that period resonate with what DL was then compared to now? When you think about it.
Absolutely. I mean, I mean, you know, probably the other two gentlemen could probably, you know, speak on it more than I can, but I think absolutely it does because, you know, certain people, you know, once you get to a certain status or, you know, build your career to a certain level, if it's even thought upon that you may be a social, you know, going against what the norm of society may be, you know, it's like off with your head. So, you know, I could see and it's sad, you know, it's not, it's the sad truth, even, you know, in 2024, how you have people that still, you know, can't be their true authentic self because of the shunments of society, or even not even society, because, you know, they're kind of, I just say, you know, for instance, people who were raised in very religious background, homes of that nature, and they can never really live out who they truly are unless they, you know, migrate to a different area or say, okay, you know what, I'm not dealing with you all anymore, I'm gonna, you know, completely shine myself off from you all. And it's like a choice that kind of had to make, where, okay, am I going to be in my wife with my wife and kind of, or, you know, the lady that, you know, I'm quote unquote with, you know, to make everybody else happy, or I'm going to, you know, really be with the person I love to make myself happy.
So, Dr. Ford,
Hold on, I want to jump on that part.
Okay, go ahead.
Oh no, go ahead with your question, Charles.
I'm just going to say,
I do want to
okay,
go next.
okay. Yeah, so you can comment on that, but when you just after you make that comment, I want to know, I want to get your take on the book, where you finally get the chance to just throw out all of this stuff that you like or dislike about the book.
Oh, cool. So I would say, first of all, James Baldwin beautifully written the book. I do feel like with a book, a piece like this, a novel, where it elicits emotion, you know, where you can really connect with each one of these characters is like so important as an author, right? So like I think he really illustrated a lot of different experiences that people go through in the queer world. And it's like, you know, because I would really say, you know, David was pretty like queer in how he was moving along. So not really labeling himself, but ultimately labeling himself in other ways, which is interesting. But overall, I think the undertone of the book was really, I think it was written really well. I love the fact that the fundamental message of this whole entire story was like having these characters had a lack of like loving themselves to some degree. Like it seemed like they were trying to escape a lot, so engaging in different things and behaviors, relationships or whatever, and you know, not really paying much attention to themselves or trying to escape something. So then, you know, I think that's the like undertone of a lot of this, which to me felt like was brilliant how James Baldwin kind of illustrated these things without necessarily saying that people hated themselves, you know? So I thought the book was excellent. I have no negative things to really say about the book other than if you don't speak French, you gotta look stuff up. That's it. So it challenged me to look some things up in terms of the language. And this is the last point that I want to make. I think it's so cute how he chose Paris to illustrate this story, right? So it's like the love and then the lack of love, all in the city of love. You know, really was pretty neat. So yeah.
So that's all. That's all about the gayism, because when you say Paris, they say gay Paris. So, oh man, I have to go
Yeah.
back to you because one of the points that Dr. Ford just brought up is very interesting, because the man horrors of the 1950s were actually different than the man horrors of today. So when I say that, and just think about this and tell me what you think, is when you think about how they was moving and shaking back then. You know, when they say they were closeted and they were underground, they were way underground.
Mhm.
They did their dirt, then they came out like nothing happened. They try to do that today, but it doesn't happen quite that way because it's always exposed being DL. What do you think?
Well, most folks, especially in today's age, carry their phones, so they like to record their little freak offs. So that's why a lot of folks, back then didn't get caught up because they didn't have the video cameras. And it's funny because Dr. Ford mentioned Paris is a city of love. It's from my reading, it sounded like people went there to like be a little risque and freak ass nigga. So it didn't seem like it was Paris seemed like to be the place where you go to do whatever you wanted to do, and then when you finish having your fun, you can go back to the real world. And yeah, so back to man horrors are still, I think, the same. It's just now we are being well. Let me not say we. They are being filmed. So yeah, so everybody's still whoring.
So if I'm understanding right, are you saying that because of that time and when you read the book and how the characters actually evolved, especially coming to the end of the book, the way they evolved, it kind of like just turns you off because you had to go to a long point to get there, but you understood the story.
Yeah, and it's just a slow read, and then I guess because in where I'm at in my life, and just I'm almost 30. I'll be 30, Lord bless, in a month. So I'm just I'm so sick of being like this secretive type of like, sneaky kind of guy. I'm like, I'm ready to live. And I guess that's just where my mind is. So reading the book, as great as it is, it's just like, I'm so ready to be done with this phase of my life, even reading it. So the book was, of course, well written and very informative and informational. It just, where I'm at in my life, I was like, I'm over this. Get to the fun, get to the, come on, like get to it. And
Okay,
yeah.
so you ready for it? So our next book, apparently, when it comes to you, it's got to be non-stop, just rocking, beginning to end.
Well, no, just somebody who knows themselves, who is someone who is confident, and it was very like David was depressed. Like David was depressed, Giovanni was depressed, everybody was unhappy in the city for the sex and lust, and then Helen was just going through it because she wanted a man and her man didn't want her. It just it just it was just I was like, this has to stop. I said this has to stop.
But wouldn't that put you like the way that the things that are being portrayed in that book, doesn't that sound like current day American society?
That's what I'm saying, and I'm trying to get past that. So,
Yes, yes,
Charles talking
yes.
about, this way back when. No, man, this is still going on, and I am not being stuck there. Dr. Ford was talking about self love and healing. I'm in the healing phase, and them people in that book was stuck. Okay, Dr.
But
Ford,
how many other people thinking about in the community, even in without in and inside and outside of the community, whether it be race or whatever the case may be, how many people are in that state and don't know how to here in 2024?
I haven't done a survey, but it's probably a lot.
You'd be surprised.
Have you seen the world? Have you seen what's going on?
You'd be
People,
surprised.
there are so many Davids around here today.
And I've been saying
There's
it.
so many Giovannis
And
around
I've
here
been Giovanni.
today.
Okay, yeah. So to your point, Mr. Brown, do you want to go by
Yeah.
Neil or Brown?
Yeah, you call me Neil. Yeah, I'm
Okay.
cool.
Yeah,
Yeah.
your
And
point.
even
Yeah, so many
Helen's too,
people.
okay? Because there was Helen's around here as well. That
Okay,
was,
talk about it. Okay, where baby girl go from the other top left? But so I think to your point, yes, there's so many people, and I had to learn that I'm not responsible to help anybody. Like I'm only responsible for my journey in life, and to be out of that phase of the Davids and Giovannis, and to know that I'm aging, that I can possibly be a Jaquise or a William. It's just like, okay, I'm past the dysfunction part of my life, and I had to get out of that. And I can't look at all the people who stuck there, because then that's gonna make me get off my path of being away from that. So yeah, it's a lot of people.
yeah, I would
Let's
say,
take that a little
shoot.
bit further, because now as you say that, and so apparently you've gone through a growth spurt that now you're looking at your life. So when you see that, so like what happens when you can get a feel that those kind of people are coming into your world, your atmosphere, or into your being? What do you do about that? How do you disassociate yourself with that, or do you at all?
That's a good question. I don't think I don't think I have to. If I'm not looking for a romantic relationship, then I don't have to engage or disengage, because I'm just dealing with the person and not necessarily the romantic damaged part of the person. So people can be damaged all they want to romantically, but it's not going to be romantically with me. So okay, you're not about to catch me behind a dark alley. Okay, you know, okay. There's cameras everywhere. Lord bless. You know,
Big brother's always watching.
you know what I'm trying to tell you. It took me a long time to realize that, but I'm just yeah. So I don't. I think it's what's great about you, Charles. And I told Charles this before, is I think our generation and Charles' generation, we weren't connected, and we needed that connection, or that handshake, in order to learn from the lessons of the past to be able to navigate through the future. And what I loved about the book is it gave us a chance, and it also showed that that connection and that bridge is necessary, because if not, we're going to repeat the same thing over and over again. So
Michael.
yeah. Neil, are you married?
Yes, I am.
Congratulations. So is Charles.
Thank
Shout out.
you.
So Neil,
I'm married to the Lord.
Oh. Let's go back to Neil. Shout
The
out to you.
Lord.
Amen.
How long you been married? I'm all in your business.
No problem. I've been married 7 years. Yeah.
Congratulations.
Yep.
so Neil,
I have a very interesting story that I'll share with you later.
Okay.
a part of the book that really that caught you was the part, I guess, about them being on the low. So tell me, why is it that that part of being on the low was so intriguing to you for the book itself?
I say that part was very intriguing to me, because you never know who you're entertaining, and you think like life is always not what you see from face value, and you may think that somebody may be a 40-year-old straight male, and they may be a 35-year-old straight female to male. But you would never know that unless they came out and told you. And a lot of people don't maybe not see that as being per se DL, but in a certain sense it is, because they cannot truly be who they in a sense truly are, and let it be known because of the infractions that may come from the results of be society norms. For example, if you're a big CEO of a large buku Fortune 500 company, and that the social norm says that, a male is supposed to be in that position, and, my alpha male, macho male, if that person, is of the LGBT community, they're not going to want to let anyone know for fear of, anything.
Just making their lives miserable.
Exactly.
I used to envy not being like a DL guy. I used to walk around and folks ask like, "Are you gay?" I'm like, "No, I'm not." It's something that I've always envied at one point in time. Just that privilege of being invisible of criticism and possible danger. So yeah, I kind of resonate with that just because it's something that I at one point wanted to experience.
So, Dr. Ford, so
Yes.
going to where you are right now, and you are the healing master. You are right with let's say with Giovanni. How would you take on a character like Giovanni, and how would you actually heal him and bring him into his presence?
Ooh. Giovanni, what Giovanni needs is, as we like to consider, mirror work, like doing shadow work.
Yes.
He was holding on to so many emotions, and it was so interesting because he really ended up being so similar to his father, even though like he tried to live a different life. Ultimately he ended up assimilating those same behaviors of his father, and really helping someone through like the mental blocks that they may have, because really if you pay attention to his character, he really thought the world was cold, so his heart ended up being very cold, and his experiences that he was in were very cold. That's just how he was. And I really think it's about having recognizing like your self-worth and your self-value, and making sure that you're pouring into yourself. So a lot of empowerment, a lot of undoing of mental blocks. Of course, there's that medical piece that I don't know. He ain't talking about none of that, but this was all mental. This is all mental stuff, like everything. So, taking a person through them getting through shifting their mindset to transform how they view their lives, how they view themselves is super important, and helping them identify where these things come from. Because if we could have a conversation, I'm like, hey, David, this ain't. I'm not gonna say I'm like a therapist, but when you are a holistic provider, you do have to, address the mind, body, and the spirit. And so, like, taking him through like exercises to help him identify his trauma and why he may be having the experiences that he's having is super important. So that's where I would want to start. Let's talk about how you feel about yourself right now and where these things have manifested or came from, and then we can start moving on into other areas of his life. If you see that he had a lot of different areas that he was struggling in: finances, love, relationships with his parents, while his mom, was deceased pretty early on in his life, he still had some grief related to that he didn't unpack. So there was just a lot of stuff he was holding on to. And it's so interesting because at the end of the story, it was like, okay, so we back at square one. Like he ended up being alone. That's what he was trying not to do, trying to evade and escape, and he ended up just being by himself at the end of the day. So really taking a person through that shadow work is so super important.
So let me ask you why, and let me tell you why I asked you that question. It's because back then, I'm not sure that they were diagnosing stuff like PTSD and all these other kind of things. But what we can all identify with from the book is that everybody's living that same sheltered life, can't really be who they are, where they're trying to be secretive, and where you're sick of actually supporting folk that don't support you.
Right.
So, so when you go like now and you think about like now today, and you read this story from 1956, which is today, which is way ahead of its time. What do you think can happen? Let's say, especially in communities like the LGBTQ community, that we can do to actually soften that and make that much better and easier for people to live their lives.
you know, helping them align with one of the things that I really enjoyed about the book is how intuitive each person was. Like, Helen came off the bat asking the questions. That's why I was like, who is Giovanni? What is he? No, something going on here. And I was just like, okay, cool. She's very intuitive. Even there was another character where Giovanni had met this, it seems like she was overly done up at the bar, like one of the bar mistress or whatever. She seemed like she came off the bat reading David all, you know, felt the energy around David. David actually surprisingly has a lot, well, not surprisingly, because everybody has internal intelligence, but it was mentioned in the book, like how he had this internal intelligence. And I think what they mean by that is somebody's spirit, you know, like their soul, like telling them what's right for them. Whether we listen to that inner voice that's inside of us is totally up to the person, you know, but I think he strayed away from listening to who he truly was, you know, and what was truly good for him on a spiritual level, that it kind of led to his detriment, and he ended up feeling still empty now. And so really, I say really connecting people back with that true authentic self, their higher self, is super important. And that really, it requires somebody to help them empower themselves, like show them that they are worthy, they're lovable, they're appreciated and valued, and helping them identify blocks where they may have, you know, picked up from, you know, early on childhood. So they may have not had a at the time in the 1950s. I'm trying to figure out like how back then psychology wasn't really as advanced as we have now, and there were as many diagnoses. But for sure, he had a whole gamut of stuff going on: anxiety, depression. For sure, you hit it right on the money on that. Like um, anxiety, depression, and I think he just had a real strong sense of worthlessness that was just really sad.
So Neil, for let's just take 1956 and we come in today, and from the story in the book, is there any part of the book that you feel resonates more so with your life than then? So what I'm saying is, when I ask that question, is like for the how they are, how do I put this? Well, you know how they're just looking to like to have sex and sexual escapades where it's always undercover and all that other kind of stuff. Um, is there any part of not those stories, but the book in general, that it resonates with you today from that time, that it was easier for you to read the book?
Um, Absolutely. I would say, the whole aspect of the fact that he really couldn't be true to himself because he didn't really know who he was, because of the fact a lot of it had was drawn back to his father, and not, I guess, putting myself in that situation, from a religious background, coming from a religious, aspect, or religious background. A lot of times, that you don't know what you don't know. So as a result, you tend to teach your own ignorance onto your children, and portray, as a result, your children have these psychological, issues and things that they deal with. So I do, I mean, it was just like, it was wonderful, how the author was so vivid with putting everything together, and certainly the metaphors and everything that he used to say things without completely saying it. So again, that's who, I forget the names. I skimmed through it fast, but for on a high level, I kind of got the whole concept of what the author was trying to say. Also, I like the fact that how it came about at the end, like Dr. Ford was saying. The whole reason is that you can do all of these things to appease, what you think may appease yourself, but you never really can love someone else until you truly love yourself.
Mr. Golden, now you as an entertainer, and you giving 125% when you entertain. I'm gonna throw you back into 1956.
Uh-oh.
Tell me what you're doing if you entertain.
I'm so grateful that I don't have to answer that question. I don't, probably do what I'm doing now, just minus the phone. So I would have still done exactly the same. I would have been in this exact same place and mindset then as I am now. I think I would have been more mad and upset at my people. I would have been more mad and upset at my people for how they treated black folks, how they treated black folks if they were gay, bi, trans, what have you. And I would have been more aggressive with my people because how can we sit up and say, oh, white people are this, white people are that, and then turn around and do the same thing, if not worse, to our own and feel like you have the right to do that. So I'd have been very, very pissed. I'm pissed now, but not as much because now folks can go to jail for those actions. But back then, I would have been pissed. I would have been pissed.
Because do you feel like because they would have been trying to shut you down at all angles and not get out?
Yeah. Because if I'm still myself now, you can push me into a corner. Eventually, I'm gonna buck back. And back then, religion was newer, and the consequence of the ideology of religion was newer, and people held it tighter in a way. And I believe they felt, my papa had said one time back in the day, they used to black folks will grab a gay person up and kill him and throw him in the street. And he mentioned it not necessarily being like degrading, but just like it was just a thing to do. So to know that that's his time, maybe a little before, but to say that and to know that in a black person that it was okay to just slaughter your own because someone was gay, I would have been pissed. I would have been, when I say pissed off, pissed. And I would have been just as bad as the heterosexual people because if you attack me, I'm going to attack you and I'm going to feel justified because one, I'm defending myself and y'all are trying to come after me. So yeah, I would have been pissed. I would have been pissed off. So God is good for having me be a part of this time period, even though it's not perfect, but be in this time period of where at least I can know that I'm safe and go to places where I can be safe and not at least publicly feel like I have to hide myself, even though psychologically sometimes I feel that I have to protect myself and the things that I feel are normal to me. So yeah, bring me back to 2024. I'm glad to be born this time.
This is a question for each and every last one of y'all, and I want y'all to just tell me how do you feel about this? Do you guys think that being LGBTQ, people have this misconception that you have superpowers?
I do have superpowers though. I have gifts. I like legit have gifts. I have gifts. I think the stereotype is that I can dress someone, I can do some hair, I can do some makeup. I'm supposed to be like the best singer on earth, the best dancer, have the best body. Um, I just learned to get away from that because the same way we are stereotyped to be one way, we're also stereotyped in the extreme negative. So if I'm going to take the stereotypes of the positive, then I got to take the stereotypes of the negative. So to that, no. But do I have gifts? Absolutely. I've been blessed with many gifts, but I think that doesn't have anything to do with me being gay.
Okay. What about you?
I would say, a lot of times people look and they look at things in you that they wish that they could do, and one of those would be, I say, courage, because it takes a lot of courage to be able to stand, certainly in the society as it is today, to be able to stand in who you truly are. And a lot of people, they can't do that, so they, instead of kind of linking with you or getting with you to kind of see, oh, how can I tap into that kindness? How can I be, have that courage within myself? They kind of shun it and say, oh, well, you're over there in the alphabet community or whatever they say, but yeah, that's my whole take.
What I would say is, you know, throughout this whole entire book, David had many opportunities to like really discover himself, and a lot of it was through partnership, right? Like he had the relationship with his best friend initially, and then he had the relationship with Giovanni, which I thought Giovanni came in very much as like myself, very like, let's go, let's do things. He was on top of, he knew what he wanted, and I appreciated that about him. Helen, same deal. um but I say all that to say that when I really connected with these people because I really felt each character had their own authentic, their own gift in some way. David wasn't really able to tap into that gift because he wasn't really working on himself as intensely as I would have like personally. Like that's how I felt. I was like, he got a lot of work to do because he is just holding on to a lot of different emotional stress and trauma that's not really allowing him to, walk into his purpose and really see what his vision is for himself. So I say that to bring in, God reveals your purpose to you. But you have to be
Right.
like open and willing and have a clean heart and, an open heart. David was so cold hearted. It was
Mm,
like there was no way that he could really tap into his gifts. So when you talk about gifts, I do think each person is unique in their own way. Each character was unique in their own way. They showed up, had their own gifts. Each one of us have our own gifts. What that looks like is going to be completely unique from each person. So I definitely think I have talents and gifts. And in fact, I know God has revealed to me one of my gifts obviously is being a healer, and like
right.
not the type of healer that is just really like coming in and really running this show like a machine. It's like you come in, you pay your copay, here's some medicine, here, go on about your day. No, I'm a healer where like we're gonna get down to the root cause of what's
Mm,
happening here. So, making it very meaningful for me. But that was something that God revealed to me, and gave that to me. And I had to have my heart open, heal myself to be able to show up in that capacity. So everybody has their own unique gift. Do they tap into it? It just varies from people, and we see it evidently here in as David character. He didn't. He had opportunities to tap into that and help heal himself, but he just didn't seize the opportunity, being caught up in kind of his thoughts and what's going on in the world.
mm.
So you actually went into my next question, because I asked you guys about, if you think being part of the LGBT community and having the superpowers. My next question is going to be, who do you think it most resonated with? It was going to be either Giovanni or David.
Meaning, like, who
Who had,
really.
yeah, could actually was showing those abilities to more than just adjust, but to be able to do what they needed to do when they needed to do it.
I would say Giovanni,
Okay.
and
And
I would say Giovanni because Giovanni was kind of just like, hey, look, this is what I'm gonna do. You know, uh, kind of like I would say almost like a Vegas attitude. Like what I do here stays here, and when we leave, we're done.
mm,
I beg to differ. I feel like to be honest with you, I feel like David, while I enjoyed his character, I felt like he was a dog. I ain't even gonna front. Like every moment, every situation he was in, it was very much like they're not my friends. They're not like I'm not connected to these people. Like no, I don't. I'm not telling my father the truth. Like I'm not even telling Helen the truth. And then when she came, I don't even really want to tell her the truth. then when Giovanni came around, he was not telling the truth then. He didn't really share his feelings with his best friend. He was really cold-hearted and shut off from the world. So to me, I really don't feel like I have some objection, because I'm like, was he really tapping into his gifts, or was he doing what he wanted because he just was feeling like, and what I mean by this is, was he doing things from the heart, or was he doing things because his body said this, or he wanted to get over, or he knew that he needed to hang out with this particular group of people because he didn't have no money? Like, where's the intention coming from? I don't really see him doing a lot of things from the heart. So I would say, if anything, who did it for me was Helen. I ain't gonna front. She said, I'm going to Spain, and she went. Now she came back and she was like, oh, I don't really know, like, my life. Like, I went there and I feel like I was aimlessly trying to figure out something, but now I know, I want to come back. And I know, even in her letter, it was like, and I'm coming home to you. And I was like, oh, that's great. Like, she's intentional. She showed up, and then she came in and was ready to do the work to heal and be in a true partnership with David. David had his bullshit that he kept dealing with, which ended up ending that. You know what I'm saying? So I really think Helen really came down, like, from the jump, and came back to Paris and was really trying to work on some things. Granted, she probably had her own problems that she was dealing with, but I really think that her character did it for me.
Amen.
None of them. Not a single character in the book. Not a single soul. Not a single person in this book arrived, in my opinion, because they didn't know how to arrive. They didn't do the work, like Dr. Ford mentioned, that is necessary. And it's not.
But if you had to choose who did it the best out of because there's like the presidency. Who is the best option, the best worst option? You know what I'm saying? It's like,
I think it might have been the period at the last sentence of the book. That period did it for me.
You a tough one. I don't know what kind of energy was you reading this book with. You was just kind of like,
he needed some sage.
Right, you should have sage. You should have liked you some incense or something. What's going on with your heart?
Okay, kill me, doctor.
Let me go grab my stethoscope real quick. I'm like, let me put my listen to this heart.
I just remember what it's like being in not everyone's shoes. I'm not around, but like those shoes of just like complacency and trying to find and doing things to try to find that love. And every single character in this book was in that period, in that time. What's that show? It's like where they get stuck in the time. It's Back in the Future, not Back in the Future, but anyway, the Time Zone.
Oh, the Twilight Zone?
Twilight Zone. Thank you, Charles. God bless you. The Twilight Zone. And it's just like, I'm ready to get up out of this Twilight Zone. I'm over it in every character. But every single one of them got on my nerves. Everybody got on my nerves in that book. The only one who arrived actually and used the gift, I think because of the certainty and confidence, was actually the person that David did not like at all. And I think he had to be either a trans or a very femme guy who David was trashing at in the beginning of the book in part 1, where the guy was very confident, knew who David was clocking his teeth left and right, and knew that David was the type of guy to do a wham bam, thank you, ma'am. But then David was, in my opinion, was so caught off guard by that approach that he avoided it. But homeboy clocked his teeth way back when. So to me,
and said he about to burn in the pits of hell, pretty much. And I was like, whoa, now he came in hell like that.
So it's just the fact that just being aware and being like forward, extremely forward. I think that character, while toxic and he knew who he was. He knew what he was. He knew what he wanted. There wasn't any like, and with Giovanni, Baby Boy was mad, and child, the period had the power for me. So there we go.
Oh, so that's just and thinking about this period of time, okay. And I'm quite sure that there was at least a paragraph that sounded so much like, for you, Amen, a song that you've written. For you, Neil, maybe a book that you read, and for Dr. Ford, a person or a client that you have met, there had to be at least a paragraph in that book that was relative. Can you tell me which one it was?
It was the one for the garden with me. It was. I love when David was describing folks being as a garden, and oddly enough, my fan base is called the Guardians. So garden and then guardians, and I merged the two. So when I read that, I shared that ideology. It's my responsibility to maintain my garden, and to open the book up and then read that, I was like, well, at least David gets that part right. Let's see, clock that. But yeah, for me.
You?
Come back to me.
Okay, Dr. Ford.
Most certainly. So I seen this. There's one scene that people can resonate with because it resonated with me, where David was like in his bullshit, but that's okay. Because the one of the things I appreciate about a David, a character like David, is like everybody has their thing, their stuff, and it's like, are you gonna work it out? And you ready to work it out? And there was a level of willingness that David just didn't have, but it really showed you like how things really unfold in the power of the mind. Because if he was in a negative place, so he had a lot of negative experiences that unfolded. So there was one particular scene where David wanted to, I guess, go out before Helen came into town and met up with some girl named Sarah and did his thing. And it was so interesting because how James Baldwin painted the picture. They end up, we all knew that they had been sexually intimate. And so when they had sex, there was a moment where he was like, I felt like this wasn't what I wanted. And I felt myself having a sensation of just wanting to please my body and her body, but not even wanting to please her for real, because he really left the situation like, I hate her. And that's what the words he used. And I was like, so many times I have patients come in and they're like, I can't stand like having sex with my wife, or like it's boring, or like things need to change. And I'm like, or they'll have relationship issues, or they may feel like one partner is more sexually wants more sex in the relationship, and the other partner is kind of like, I got my own stuff going on, so they deprive that partner of sex. But it was like, it resonated with me because I'm like, so many people go through this experience of like doing something just because they want to like satisfy like their hormones, but then it's really not fulfilling their soul. And then they end up building up this resentment towards that person. I've been there before where I was like, I know dang well me and you shouldn't have been doing this. And I actually don't really like you. And it's like, why did I do it? Why? Why was I doing that? Only for me to just get caught up in some BS. And then I find myself, it's hard to get out of that situation. Now, I made those decisions, way early on in my life, but it still resonated with me because I was like, so many people go through that exact same experience and end up either despising the person that they did it, have guilt around or shame around having intimacy with that person, or not being able to express themselves and what they need in a relationship, or even in a one night stand, not being totally transparent and honest. But I felt like that was something that resonated with me, that I see a lot in the clinic, and people just sharing their lives, because I like to know what's going on with people.
So, have you thought about it, Neil?
Yes. So for me, I guess it was, just in the beginning when he first met with when David first met with Giovanni, and it was like, they were going into, I guess, a dark room, and it's like everything had to be, the curtains were closed, and that was vivid, the vivid descriptions of, the things that had to occur before this, act or whatever they were, going to do to occur. And it was just like, for me, it's like almost like layers. It's like you do all of this stuff, put all this stuff on, take all this stuff off for society, but at the end of the day, behind closed doors, when everything is locked down, no one can see anything. That's when you are the truest to who you truly are.
There's one word that I want to ask you guys about, this one word, and you tell me if you read this in the story, well, in the book, or if it applies to any of the characters. Accountability.
It applies to everybody. Every single body. Everybody. And even myself. And I think and then that's I think one of the reasons why I'm so over just the story of the book is because I had to be accountable for like a lot of things. I had to be accountable for me being one of the reasons why I haven't lived my life to the fullest, me be accountable for the way I viewed the world, viewed people, viewed my own people. And I had to be accountable to all of that. And I don't think no one necessarily was in the book. And I'm just like, yeah, so let me move it on. But yeah, shout out to that word accountability.
Why was that? I mean, just asking kind of, I mean, you made a good point. And because I asked why is that? Because that same problem that happened then, like, we've all been just saying, is still happening now. And of course, I'm pretty sure they were trying to tackle it then, asking the same questions. Here we are, years later, asking the same questions, but no one's kind of fixing the problem.
I think it's sort of like this. So someone said, his name was Pastor Caston. He had said, sometimes in life, the best Bible and the only Bible that people would read is that of your life, meaning the way I live. So if I'm living my life, that should be enough to, that is going to inspire someone. Like Mr. King inspires me because of his work and what he does. I'm a fan of yours, Dr. Ford, because it takes a special person to desire to heal folks. So your Bible is impressive to me. Charles' Bible is impressive to me. I just met you, Mr. Brown, but I like your glasses, and your glasses are impressive to me.
Thank you.
So I think, unfortunately and fortunately, you can't worry about the masses because whoever is supposed to be pulled in the right direction will be. Meaning, I was chosen for something. Dr. Ford was chosen for something. Brown, you were chosen for something, and Charles, you were chosen for something. But that took accountability within self and going to, in my opinion, at least with me, going to God and getting washed to be qualified to have a purpose. And not everybody will be blessed to have that. So I can't, in a way, you can't really worry about everyone because you can't save anyone. Yet you can live your life to the best of your ability, and that will spark some fire in somebody else to work on themselves as well. But it takes accountability. That makes sense?
Yes.
Let me put a period on it.
So that means that, so to you, none of the characters were accountable.
I'm sick of it. No, I'm sick of them. I'm sick of them all. Everybody.
So, Neil?
I agree with man. That's why I was kind of picking with him a little bit. I agree. Everybody kind of danced around things that they, kind of needed to really just say, okay, you know what, today's the day. I'm gonna stop this. This is what it's gonna be. Whether it's gonna be being with this person, whether it's gonna be loving myself, whether it's gonna be running the streets. No one kind of made a complete choice to say, okay, this is what I'm going to do. Everybody was kind of dipping and dabbing in here, there, everywhere. So,
yeah, and like at least,
for real.
Thank you for saying that. At least, in my opinion, it's like, okay, if I'm gonna pick you, I'm gonna pick you. We gonna through hell and fire. We gonna make it through. It was a point of like, I don't know, and then just this despair, just and then
y'all tripping. Me.
What book did you read, Doctor?
Okay. I read the same book,
but can we from a more philosophy, from a more deeper concept? I like when
Can we give it up for Helen? Y'all keep undermining.
Helen was David. They did the same thing. We just didn't get her story. You didn't think Helen was out there tricking and slicking?
Nah, that's a whole nother story. She could have had a sequel or something.
Slicking and
Who knows?
tricking.
I'm sure she was, but I like how her character came in and she to me, I felt like she was the most certain person who came in and was like, I'm doing this. And even when her and David were ending their relationship, she was like, I'm going back home. Like, forget what you got going on. Look, bye, David. And it was like she loved this man, you know. So I think she was the most certain person who held the most accountability. I feel like, in the story. I do like want to say that with this accountability thing, the underlying theme behind all of this is the ability to forgive y'all themselves. Like they have to be willing to forgive themselves for like all of the decisions that they made, the things that have happened to them, like be in a space of forgiving themselves to like help them heal and help them unlock their lives or whatnot. I really feel like Helen kind of did that, to be honest. Like she, at least how the character was portrayed, it sounded like she may have had her stuff, but she was able to be very clear and certain about what she wanted. So she had to be in some level of awareness that was, in my opinion, a little elevated compared to some of these other characters.
I have to give you credit for that because she did seem like, of all the characters, because I think they were all pretty much unstable. With her,
I was gonna say mental prisons. Everybody had their own mental prisons that they were in.
But she showed actually the point to where she actually was a little bit more above the fray. And I think that was because she was not afraid to do a lot of things that she did. When she traveled, she traveled. If she fucked, she fucked. Did she care? No. Because it was just about her and what she felt. So she displayed that, even though it sounds a little bit, off the cuff to say that she's more stable, but she was more stable. I can say that probably she was more accountable to what she did than all of the other characters.
I guess, I mean, I'm a little thrown off. So it's just like when I read about folks more thrown off than me, I was like, this is some thrown off mess. Like this is some,
it is a mess.
That's a problem, Yeah. I was like, these folks lower than me. But yeah, shout out to Hella. Shout out to Helen. Hello.
So, are there any final thoughts about Giovanni's Room?
I'm glad it's over.
I'm glad. Honestly, I'm glad that I got the opportunity to experience the reading because it was just profound to me how much 1956 is still 2024 or 2023 at the time. We've come so far, but we've gone so far. Well, exactly. For some of us.
For some people, yes. For some people. Okay?
Yeah.
Afterwards, you got any closing thoughts?
Yeah, my closing thought, which I feel like is really important, is if you listen to this is just a really a story about people's thoughts and how they felt about themselves. All of the different feelings and emotions that these people held on to really do shape your experience, and you're like the words that they used end up manifesting in their lives somehow. And it was like the power of like what they were speaking out into the universe, and then they end up getting some of that stuff back. Even when David started to talk about his dad and his father in the beginning, like how he was drinking and doing all this other stuff, but then I'm like, the things that he didn't want to have, he focused on those things, and it ended up showing up in his life in other ways. Like he was always at the bar, he was always getting drunk, trying to run away from his problems. So the point is, be mindful of what you're talking about and speaking out into the universe and what the hell is going on in your head. Because, if you feel like you hate yourself, there are going to be experiences and people in your life that reinforce that belief. If you have a belief of not being enough, you're going to be in experiences and situations and meet people that reinforce you not being enough to reinforce that belief. So it's really like, it's important. That's why I say these people were in mental prisons, because a lot of this language was really really disempowering. and self-sabotaging. Even the letter from David's dad, I was like, why his dad trying to project all his anxieties on him? You need to move back to America. You need to do this. You need to, what's going on? I'm nervous. I'm anxious about you. It's like, chill out. Worry about your own life, and like how you feel about yourself, heal yourself. So yeah, I think it's very important to be mindful of how we think and how we view ourselves and how we show up in the world. And, being mindful of what we say out into the universe, because that stuff will come back into your life somehow, some way. So just being very, very mindful of that.
That's a word, doctor.
Right.
So here we go. Our next book. We need to get a consensus on the next book. What is the next book that you guys would like to read?
Nothing from James Baldwin.
Okay. What is your pick?
I kid.
Okay, right. You picked the book because you're a tough one.
I'm open.
I kid. Charles, can we do our thing like we did? Or is to look? We have a list. Maybe we can send out the list. I think of the books that we were going to read, and then have everybody vote on it. And then
okay, you still got that in your email stream?
Yes, let's have it.
Okay, well we could do that. And the thing is, I wanted to get that out because I wanted to, instead of doing parts of the book, we just do the whole book, and we like today being the 14th, that on the 28th we'll have the book completely read.
Well, it depends on what book it is, because if it's, I like to, I like to chop it up because I'm a busy man. I'm a busy man. But hey, we don't know. If it's a short book, then yeah. If it's a longer book,
that's a 2-week period.
You don't know my life, Charles. I'm joking.
He said it taking 2 weeks. You got a problem.
Call me out. Okay. I told you I'm a little thrown off.
So
I have to look. I think maybe if we can send out the link of the list of books, and then have everyone like vote on it, and then just go based off that. I still think it's great to like break the books in half, because if we have new folks join on, it gives them time not to be so far behind in the book, but then give them time to like catch up. What do y'all think?
Well, I mean, so then let me just ask this question. So does
Charles, you run it?
Huh?
This is your show. Play. You can run it. Run it how you want to run it.
This is what I want to know is it's everyone. Is the consensus that you guys want to just break up the books like that? A half and then a half, or do you want to just try to do a whole book?
I like the half and half idea. Oh man, I'm with you. I'm kind of busy too sometimes, man.
I'm with you, Neil.
So,
now, Charles, clock it.
Yeah. So what's on this list? What's our options? I kind of want to hear the list. I ain't seen it, heard it.
We just go here and let me.
Charles selected some good books. I think he had a few from Giovanni, and then at this point, I'm like, but there's like this romantic one. I think I forget who it was, but it's like something about the Covenant, and it's like more of a romantic based.
Let me try to go to my email, and I'm gonna pull up the list because it was the last email I think you and I had.
Mm-hmm. Dr. Ford, what got you into when was your start as it pertains to like healing folks? When did you start, and how did you know that was for you?
Oh, nice. That's a wonderful question. Yeah, I been inspired by one of my friends doing home health, and I got into that like years ago. I'm talking like, oh gosh, like I would say I got exposed to it about 15 years ago, and that's when I knew I wanted to get into healthcare. So I just started working my way up, medical assistant or certified nursing assistant, all the way up to like a tech in the hospital, and then a nurse, and then I end up now I'm a nurse practitioner. So worked my way on up. Kind of knew early on that I wanted to be a healer and heal people, and that was my gift. Nursing called to me. And I was super excited when I found the program that I went through. It's called the university I graduated from was Marian University, and they're a Catholic holistic school. So they really taught us about holistic treatment. So really focusing on the whole person, which really helped shape me as a provider and as a nurse throughout my career of always making sure that I'm addressing somebody's mind, body, and spirit. Now, when I I've been in healthcare for about 10 years, been doing the nursing thing for about 7 years now. And so as I started to build my practice as my own, as you know, in my own right, being unique, I just didn't want to have a traditional medical practice. I'm like that being in those settings, seeing how things run in the traditional medical space just didn't really resonate with me. I felt a lot of resistance, and my spirit was calling me to do something more impactful. So I started to really address more of the mind, body, spirit thing and using my gifts, my intuitive skills to help people heal what needs to be healed. Because sometimes people don't want to do that work, and I get it. People really do say, you know, doc, I got this illness, you know, prescribe me this. Now it don't really work like that in my when I do stuff, because this ain't no vending machine. You don't put your coin in and you just get what you want, because it has to make sense, right? At least for me. But I've noticed that people really appreciate healing and heal better when you really address the root cause of things. And typically it is something going on emotionally, mentally, or physically, or spiritually. And those are all things that need to be addressed during a visit or during an experience that I have with patients. So, you know, it's morphed, but I would say early on, God revealed a lot of this to me, which I'm so grateful and blessed. It's just, I'm being very intentional about sharing that with the world now and making sure people know that I'm here for them.
Congratulations, a
That's
beautiful
awesome.
Thank
caller. As
Right.
beautiful as your skin player.
Right. That's an awesome.
Self
That's
love,
amazing.
self
Yeah.
love. Every time I look in the mirror, I'm like, babe, you look so good today.
You said
You
you
look
said
so
you stay
great.
from the DMV area. Which part of the DMV?
Yes, I actually live in Maryland, but I work in DC. So,
Okay.
but I'm licensed in DC, Maryland, and Virginia.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm from Virginia originally. Originally from small town outside of Petersburg, Richmond type area.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Original.
Yeah.
Yeah. You a sports guy, Neil?
Nice.
A little bit. You talking about the jerseys and stuff in my background,
Yeah.
right? Yeah.
You like sports, and then you like a good calendar.
Legends. Oh, look, the calendar is empty. As you can see, I need to get busy. But yeah, this kind of like my little think space area. So I have legends. I say legends surrounding me. My legend ancestors surrounding me to keep me level. But yeah, Doctor Ford, that's like Amar said, that's awesome what you're doing, man. Because we need a lot of that in our communities. Because a lot of people, they would rather self medicate than actually reach out and say, "Hey, look, man, I need somebody to talk to."
Right.
So that is awesome, and we need to project that more into our communities, and for our us doing it for us, and not us going to them.
Hmm. Yes.
Yeah,
Um,
I'm in the end of the thing, so I'll make sure I swing by you in 2 days. So make sure I swing by. I need to get your Facebook information.
Oh,
So
you talking about me enrolling in my? You trying to get some
yeah,
work done? Okay, cool,
yeah.
man. Let's
Okay,
go.
well,
I
listen.
am accepting patients,
I'm
and
trying to get my skin to look like yours, Pimpin. Okay.
Okay.
and you could definitely do that. We definitely can
Give
work
me a
on
ring
that.
light. Okay.
You know
Are
the
you in the frat, Neil?
I'm
Say that
sorry.
again.
Are you in the frat?
No, I'm not. No, no, I'm not. I just started back school, so I may.
Congratulations.
Thank you. I may decide to do that again. 11 years later, I stopped in 2012, and now I'm going back in 2023. Yeah, so
Hey, it
Congratulations.
ain't never too late. What you studying?
Congratulations.
I'm actually studying criminal justice. to be my end goal is to be a forensic criminologist, and to kind of expand. I work with the prison system here in Georgia as well, and one of the things that kind of shot me back into, really catapulted me back into, stopping the career that I was in and going back to school, was the fact that, visiting so many of these prisons, and seeing so many, offenders and inmates who, they need to be in an asylum, not a prison, so how can I myself bridge that gap with the law enforcement and and all parties involved, so that we can get these people the proper help that they need, instead of continuing to pacify the situation.
That's a beautiful calling as well. I think prison isn't the place to assist most folks to recover, especially those who are suffering from addiction.
Mm-hmm.
And I know that there was a gentleman, a black man, who had mental issues. He had jumped on the judge,
Mm-hmm.
and
A
the next
couple
time,
weeks ago.
next time
Mm-hmm.
they brought him in, he was like muzzled and whatnot.
Mm-hmm.
And they wouldn't have done that to that white kid who shot up the church. They wouldn't have done that
Absolutely not.
to their own. And if that young man would have had his meds, he wouldn't have done what he done. So it, to me, prison will never be a place where black people, if you're not mentally there, be able to step out on the right foot. So I think it's a beautiful thing to see a black man, a brown man, such as yourself, take on that calling. So
Yeah.
congratulations.
Appreciate
Hey,
it.
Yeah.
I'm trying to find the emails that. When was the last email that we sent that had that book list on it? Because I can't find it.
Uh, I can send it to you. I can send it to you. I was just looking
Okay.
at it. Yeah,
Neo, I wanted to ask you, what you doing to help protect yourself? Because traveling into these spaces and doing work into these spaces really require you to have real, real strong spiritual self healing practices. So, what you do? Just curious. You ain't got to share everything, but I'm just curious to know, like, how do you keep your energy protected?
Honestly, man, that's a fantastic question. I'm glad that you asked me that question, because other than other than prayer, that's the main thing. However, I we may can talk offline, but that is something that that's an opportunity in my life right now. So open to networking.
Hey, okay, all right. I just like to ask,
Yeah, no.
I am expanding my reach. Okay, I'm healing
Mhm.
people all around the
Talk about it.
nation. Okay.
And as I believe, nothing happens by chance. We're all connected for a particular reason in this space for a particular purpose.
Absolutely.
So yeah, certainly. We're gonna have to somehow get each other's information, because yeah,
Definitely.
we need to get some work done.
I
So I
think we
feel
are.
like
I
the
think
white
we're on an
folks like
email
Infinity
thread, so
Stones.
that's cool. We can.
Okay.
I'll reach out to you and stuff and let with that. But I do want to say, prayer. Prayer is like our mainstay. If you praying, if you don't know how to pray, don't put pressure on yourself. Like just pray be thankful. Just start off being thankful. You'll build your prayer practices. It's like building a muscle. You got to keep doing that thing to get better at it. And when people stay in prayer, and it's a certain level of gratitude, of love, and appreciation that you stay in. It's a certain level of vibration that you stay up high, and it puts you up there. So it's really hard to bring you down. But it's so unfortunate that a lot of people don't know how to pray, and a lot of people barely like to read. So it's if they ain't hearing it off YouTube, if they're not hearing it through platforms like this or on TikTok or whatever, a lot of people don't even know where to start the healing process. But prayer, I definitely would say, is number one.
And
So good for you.
it's good, that you asked me that, because and I know this is probably a whole nother live stream for another day, but people who do, everybody wants to say, yeah, I'm gonna go to the prisons, whatever, but if you go in there and you're not called, you promise you won't go again. And that's not because of the simple fact of you know just going in there, but like you said, you dealing with so many different types of unseen spirits and things of that realm. Whereas if you go, you going to try to minister to these people, or try to set them free from things. If you're not 100% whole or complete within yourself, you're a weak vessel. Then
Well, I'll tell you this. I used to be a federal investigator with the United States Department of Labor, and I had to investigate a jail over in Bibb County, Alabama, which is out in the middle of no damn where. I want you to know that I was on edge the whole time. It was like the hair standing up on the back of my neck. And I'm like, ain't no way I would do something like that again, because they actually had me go inside the jail and they closed the doors. And I said, hey, don't lock me up here. I mean, that kind of made me feel some kind of way. But just like me going back there and being with all them folks in this jail, I'm like, you gotta be fucking kidding me.
And I'm telling you, if you go in there and you going in there for the wrong reasons, not only, like I said, the inmate's gonna sniff you a mile away anyway. I mean, I hate to say it like that, but if you're not legit and you coming in there, just on your own agenda, you're not really down, for really helping those people. I mean, you have people dealing with stuff, deep stuff, and you going in there, and you, like I said, you're not right. Like I said, you won't go in there again.
It's a tough calling. So you're a tough person, Neil. You're a tough person.
To God be the glory, man.
So let me tell you some of these books here. Thank you for sending that email over, man.
I got you. I'll send you a bill.
There is Epiphany by Rashid Darden. There's Covenant by Rashid Darden. There's The Honor Code by Kwame Anthony Appiah. The Gay Agenda by Randy Boyd. The Fire Next Time by James Baldwin. I Know Why the Caged Bird Sings, Maya Angelou. Go Tell It on the Mountain, James Baldwin. And Invisible Man by Ralph Ellison.
Okay.
I think, could you send out the email to everyone, and then we send it, we reply with our selection, and then Charles, you choose from that selection. So whichever one it is that you get the most.
It's have to be the consensus. So just let me just copy and paste the list. I'll send it out, and I'll send it to everybody's email, and just reply back, your choice. Once everybody sends back the choice, then I'll decide, I just let everybody know who had the most votes, and this is the book. And so when we get the book, so we said we're going to do half and half. So that means that half of the book will have to be done next week. And then the other half we will conclude the book on the 28th. So
should we do a top pick, like top 3, top 4? Because it sounds like it's about 10 books.
Well, it is. And so, basically, just if you want to just do your top 3, or if you want to just do your best pick.
I think we might need more time than that. I'm sorry to cut you off, Charles. I think we might need more time than that, because folks, like, I might order my book from Amazon, and if we can give, if it's okay with you, if I can throw in an admin, this week we can select the book, and then we can start reading it next week. Like, give us a week to get the book, everyone to get the book, so everyone can be on the same page, and then just give us a week to get the book. That's it.
Okay, if you want that is fine.
That's okay.
I
don't have no problems. I don't.
So everybody just tell me what book it is that they want to read, the next book, and we'll make that the book. Now, since we're going to, if that's the case, so since we're going to actually have to have the first half read by the 28th, I just figured next week can be like a discussion. Okay, and that discussion is whatever we want to talk about. We just get to talk about that, and we can just go from that point. Because again, as I say, this is all safe, and it's all about what we're doing and how we're doing it, and we don't have to worry about nobody trying to say, "Oh no, that's ridiculous." We ain't doing all that shit. But so we could just do that, and and we'll just we'll go from there, if that's fine.
That's fine.
Okay, all
I
right.
can bring your healing material because I might be on edge next week. So
I was thinking, I was like, should we
You need to
facilitate
start off
some?
with him.
I was like, because I can bring the material, you know.
I've been windmilling for too long. All my life I have to fight. All my life. I ain't playing with 2024.
You know what? Let me tell you. Let me tell you something quick that you can do, especially if you feel like you're emotionally you're holding on to a lot of stuff. First of all, give yourself the space and to be free and to release. You know, if you're upset and you're mad, you feel like you're holding on to tension. Try your best to relax. Me personally, 2 days ago when I got off of work on Friday, I came home. I felt like I was holding on to a lot of tension and a lot of stress. I grabbed my pillow and I started punching it. Okay, and then it made me feel so much better just to release so much.
There's a river that I go to when it heals me. What did you say? Come on. Oh yeah. Yes, sir. Absolutely.
Yeah, so just allow yourself the space to release. But I will say, if you guys wanted to, I could do some highlighted points of what I talk about from the healing circle that I'll have on Tuesday at 6 p.m. So that's Tuesday the 16th at 6 p.m. So I could like bring some highlighted points from that.
Please.
If y'all.
Let me just tell you this also. So I forgot about that part. If it's Tuesday at 6 p.m., I'm gonna have a show that night.
Okay, show that's cool. I'm recording it, so it's all good. You know.
Oh, okay.
So if you guys can't join it, it'll still be recorded. But maybe I can bring some points from there if you guys want to. If you guys are okay with that.
Make sure that I get that though, so I can actually put this out though.
Understood. I got you. I'll do that right up when we get off this lovely live.
So I'm actually working on this right now. I'm sending, I'm putting in all these emails. I'm gonna send this out to everyone. And when you guys get this, the sooner that you could reply to this email, the better that's gonna be. So I can send out the selected book has been, so everybody can have it and read the first half by the 28th. So.
Sounds good. Sounds good.
So then after that, so I'd like to thank everybody that's joined tonight. And I'd like to thank all the folks that are watching on YouTube. Thank you for watching. Please subscribe and also hit the notification button if you're there, because I want to make sure that you guys are subscribed and notified, but also I love for you to join the club as well. And we will see you guys next week with some fruitful information as we discuss the wisdoms and the things of life. I'd like to thank you all for joining us, and I definitely appreciate everybody's time.
All right, y'all be well. Peace.
All right. See y'all next week.